Here's a story of the gods. And the gods got together at the beginning of the creation of man, and they said, we're going to create man. And man is going to evolve, and we want to take the greatest secret of success and happiness and hide it so that man can only find it when he's ready for it. And so where shall we put this great secret? And some of the gods said, let us put it on the top of the highest mountain in the Himalayas. And man will never find it there. They said, no, man is very creative. He will find a way to get to the top of the highest mountain. Then let's put it at the bottom of the deepest sea. Because man would never find it there. He said, no, man is very creative. He'll eventually develop tools and submersibles that will get him to the bottom of the deepest sea. Then where shall we hide it? And they said, let us hide it inside the human heart, the last place that people would ever think to look. And the superconscious mind and the superconscious capability is hidden within yourself. It's hidden within your heart. And when you can learn to tap into it at will, you can accomplish extraordinary things. Imagine that you bought a house. And in buying the house, they said, now, there's a computer in the garage that we can't take with us, but it's a special computer. This computer has been designed by we don't know how, but it has tapped into all the wisdom of the universe. And all you ever have to do when you have a question or a problem or a goal of any kind is go down and sit there at the keyboard and program it in, and then push submit, and all the wisdom of the universe will go to work to answer your question or help you to achieve your goal. And if you had such a computer, would you use it on a regular basis? Would you be down there all the time if you wanted to increase your income, improve your health, change your relationships, repair your business, anything else? Well, you do have it, and that is this superconscious mind that we'll talk about. What I've done, I don't think anybody else has ever done this. They've talked about this in many different books, but no one has ever put it together. What I've drawn is all of the discoveries from all the different books to explain the functioning of the mind, and then I'll show you how you can use it. We've spent the entire day now talking about goals and purpose and mission. Now the question is, how do we achieve our goals and purpose and our mission at the highest level possible? And this is the key. This is the exclamation point at the end of everything we've talked about up to now, as you'll see as we go through it. So we say the following are the characteristics of your superconscious mind. First of all, it has access to all data stored in your subconscious mind. That means everything that you have ever learned, everything you've read, experienced in your lifetime has been stored away, and when your superconscious mind is functioning, it can go back into this vast treasure trove, library of your mind, and it can pick out information, any piece of information. Sometimes you'll have a piece of information, an idea that will be from something you read or saw in a movie or had in a conversation decades ago, and it will just pop out when you're working with your superconscious mind to solve a problem or achieve a goal. The second thing is it can discriminate between valid and invalid data. Is your superconscious mind can actually bring you data, and it will only bring you valid data. The information it brings will be correct. You may have heard something or learned something that may have not been correct. A date, a time, a place, a fact, a figure. But when your superconscious mind is sorting information, it knows exactly what is correct and what is incorrect. Now, two, it has access to data outside of your experience. It can tap into the universal mind, and all data that's available in the universe is available to your superconscious when you tune into it. It's very much like tuning into a massive receiving station in the universe. Now, with regard to yourself, the way this works is that sometimes you'll have an idea, and when you're sitting in this room, and I'll be talking about A, and you'll have an idea about B. And it's been proven over and over again that when more than two people come together, a third mind is formed. And the third mind is almost like an ether in this room. And everyone in the room can tap into this ether, just like cloud computing. You can tap into this ether, and you can have access to all the minds of everyone else in this room, which is why you will have an idea that will be completely different from anything that I'm talking about. It's just an idea that will shoot into your mind like those little lightning bolts in the cartoons. You go, woo, write it down, write it down. I didn't say anything about it. People came up to me and say, you changed my life in your seminar when you said this thing. And I know I never said that thing. But she heard that thing so loud. When you get a superconscious solution, it will be like an incredible loud voice in the silence. You'll hear nothing, but it will be so loud inside of you that it'll block out anything else that you're thinking about at the time. Number 3, everyone has at least 4 ideas per year, any one of which would make them a millionaire. So if your goal is to become a millionaire, remember that the superconscious mind is trying to get you ideas to fulfill whatever it is that you want. It's interesting about the superconscious mind in that it is neutral as well. If you think of negative, angry thoughts, then you'll think of negative, angry ways to live, and you'll have negative, angry experiences as well. Mostly, however, it works when you are clear about something that you want or desire. It'll start to bring you ideas to achieve it. Many times you're driving along, and you'll have an idea for a product or a service or something that you could do that would serve other people. And you say, why doesn't somebody do that? I mean, why doesn't somebody offer that? Why doesn't somebody combine music into a little gadget you carry around and listen to it with modern earphones? Why doesn't somebody do that? And the only difference between you and someone else is someone else took action on it. And then a week or a month or a year later, you look around, somebody will come out with that idea and they'll make a fortune. You say, I thought of that a year ago. Remember I told you about that? Why doesn't somebody do that? And they'll say, yes, but somebody else took action. Somebody else took action on it. One of the hardest things of all is to trust your own ideas. People say, well, if I thought of it, it can't be any good. Because after all, it's only me. So there must be something flawed with the idea. But it's astonishing how many people have created wonderful lives with an idea that was completely outside anything they'd ever done before. It's like some people who started off as legal secretaries often become absolutely fantastic people in physical training, which you'll hear about soon. And they had inspiration and an idea, and it was an avocation, and it absorbed them, and it had interest. So listen, the ideas are coming, the ideas are there, and they shoot through your mind. Many people will carry a little recorder. Many people will carry a little notebook. They'll put a notebook by the edge of the bed. They'll stop the car and write it down quickly. Because very often, the rule is what you're seeking for is seeking for you. And what you are looking with, what you are looking at, you are looking with. What you want wants you. And so when you decide that you want something, it's time to tune in and get it. So we say, number 3, it functions 24 hours a day. That means once you have programmed the goal, as you have, both a goal and a mission, a major goal, and the more detailed you write out the goal, the more the superconscious mind can just really get its powers into it. You say, I want to be rich, I want to be thin. Well, that's got very, very little power. But when you're specific about how much you want to earn and when you want to earn it, even if you're specific about all the things you could do with the money, sometimes writing down 25 things you would do if you were financially independent really activates the superconscious mind because of all the emotion with which you charge it. Remember, if you have a thought without an emotion, it has no impact. If you have an emotion without a thought, it has no direction. But if you have a thought of something you want, combined with an emotion of excitement and confidence and happiness that you can achieve it, it's like a powerful bullet, and it activates all your mental powers. Once you program the goal in, which you have done by writing it down, it goes to work 24 hours a day. And it's sort of like planting seeds. If you plant grass seed, what will happen is the grass will spring up in a day or two. If you plant a bamboo tree, what happens with a bamboo tree? Well, if you ever heard the story of the bamboo tree, is you plant a bamboo tree and you water it and you fertilize it and nothing happens. You water it and you fertilize the seed, nothing happens for a year. And you keep doing that, nothing happens for 2 years. And you keep doing it, and nothing happens for 3 or 4 or 5 years. In the 5th year, it grows 60 feet into the air. It suddenly germinates and explodes into the air. And sometimes it's the same with a career or a goal or a book. So sometimes some seeds will grow quickly, some seeds will take longer, some seeds will take even longer still. What you do is you just have to keep watering and fertilizing with confidence and faith until the seed springs into flower. So it's working 24 hours a day while you're awake, while you're sleeping, while you're busy doing something else. Your superconscious mind is on the job. Number 4, it automatically and continuously solves every problem on the way to achieving your goal. It automatically and continuously solves the problem, one problem after another. Now, there's a basic rule that you need to understand is that in order for you to achieve something greater than you've ever achieved before, you have to learn certain lessons. You've got to be schooled, and usually schooled in the school of hard knocks. You have to make mistakes, you have to make temporary failures and have disappointments and setbacks. This is the price you pay. But as I said before, when God wants to send you a gift, he wraps it up in a problem. So what superior people do is they look for the lesson in every problem that they have, and the lesson is often sent to you by your superconscious mind. And so whenever you have a problem, you'll get a solution or an insight to do something and do it. And you'll continually solve every problem progressively. This is all the great inventions, all the great musical concertos were all solved one step at a time, one scientific problem at a time. When you say poor, Thomas Edison did 11,300 experiments before he found the bulb that lit up and stayed lit. 11,300, but every single step they had mistakes and trial and error, and they took notes and they tried something different and so on. People say, boy, that's an incredible accomplishment. Yes, but he tried 11,299 times. A reporter went to Thomas Edison after his 5,000th experiment. It was quite well known that Edison was working on an electric bulb. The concept of electricity had been delighted, but nobody ever determined how to use it for light. And the reporter from the New York Times said, Mr. Edison, why do you waste so much time on this invention? You've failed 5,000 times, according to your own admission. He said, young man, he said, you don't understand the way the world works. He said, I have not failed at all. I have successfully identified 5,000 ways that will not work, which puts me 5,000 ways closer to the way that will work, and I will find that way. And I will find that way. He was quite resolute. There was no question that every single mistake was simply a step forward. Later, Edison explained that when I decide to achieve a goal or to invent something, as far as I'm concerned, all I need to do is remove all the ways that don't work until all that is left is the way that will. And that's how he approached every invention. He became the most prolific inventor in history. And all of his ideas came from the superconscious mind, which we'll talk about in a couple of seconds. Number 5, it's capable of goal-oriented motivation. Now this is very important to understand. The superconscious mind cannot work without a goal. It's just like an exocet missile, a heat-seeking missile, has got to be targeted on something. And so when you set a goal, as you have in the previous session, now the superconscious mind can really grab onto that goal and go to work for it. Here's the point is, as we said before, when you set off a missile, it's already targeted on a target. When you set off your own exocet missile, it will find the target wherever it happens to be, anywhere in the world and under any circumstances. You can just set it off, and it has the ability to seek out the goal that you're looking for. And that's why it often brings it to you in the most remarkable ways. So you have to stay really, really wide open. So it releases ideas and energy for goal attainment. As a matter of fact, it is a source of what is called free energy. Now, free energy is the energy that Nikola Tesla, the great electrical genius, was able to tap out of the air and light up an entire studio. He would bring people, scientists, over. He would have his whole studio lit up with no wires and no connecting, no generators, and then he would show them in the most miraculous way how he could turn on all the lights by extracting energy from the air. No one has ever been able to do it before or since. But Nikola Tesla was able to do it, which is why he's called the greatest electrical genius in history. The reason he's not that well known is because he was very disorganized, whereas Thomas Edison, who hired Tesla and put him to work to develop his work, was an extremely good businessman. Very well organized, very thoughtful, and was able to take the best of Tesla's work and incorporate it into his work on electricity. Free energy comes, for example, when you're really excited about something. Give you an example. You've all had the experience where it's 2 or 3 in the morning, you're in a deep slumber, and there's an emergency. You get a phone call from someone who needs help, there's an alarm that goes off, there's a bang on the door, and you wake up, and you are wide awake, and you have abundant energy, and maybe you're up for the whole night, and then you go through the whole next day, and you're not tired at all. Have you ever had that experience? When a person, especially a woman, is getting married, she gets by on about 3 or 4 hours sleep a night, and all the rest of the time, because of the high energy in the whole upcoming ceremony, she lives on free energy. And sometimes when you're really excited, mothers live on free energy as well. especially if they have 2 or 3 young children who are incredibly time-consuming from basically 5 or 6 in the morning until midnight. They are able to tap into a form of free energy. And when you have a goal, what happens is you tap into this form of free energy, almost like taking a plug and plugging it upward into the superconscious mind, and you just bound with energy. And it's the energy of the motivation and the excitement that comes from the goal. It doesn't happen in the absence of a goal. You must have clear, specific goals in order to tap into this free energy. Now, number 6, it responds to clear, authoritative commands. What we call positive affirmations is when you say, I earn this amount, I weigh this amount, I achieve this goal, the superconscious mind accepts it as a command. It's passed from your conscious mind through your subconscious mind and into your superconscious. It's almost like your subconscious mind, the workmen in the white coats who take the command from head office, your conscious mind, your deciding mind. They take it and they pass it on to the supercomputer, to the superconscious. And the superconscious computer operators just simply put it in and it goes to work. But it needs clear, authoritative commands. So they must be emotionalized. The more excited you are about achieving a goal, the faster the superconscious mind goes into account. And it also responds to decisiveness. The most amazing thing that you've found throughout your life is that when you make a decision, that wonderful quote that Cam quotes, when you make a decision, nature moves too. All manner of things begin to happen that would not have happened in the absence of the decision. So very often you'll make a decision either to get in or get out, either to do it or not do it, to make a commitment or walk away, and that commitment suddenly triggers a whole series of activities and actions like dominoes. They just start to click. You get phone calls and you get letters and you get emails, and all kinds of things begin to happen immediately after you make a very clear decision, which means that you set a very clear goal. And writing the goal down, is, as we say, is very powerful. So make a decision that you're going to do or not do something, and then take the first step. Make the decision and take the first step. Jesus says, faith without acts is dead. Now what does that mean? Is you can make all the decisions in the world, but they're meaningless decisions unless you take the first step. And when you take the first step, it triggers everything. Suddenly you get feedback and actions and motivation and ideas when you take the first step. So make a decision and take the first step. And then you can make course corrections. You get feedback which enable you to make course corrections on the way to your goal. Nothing great in life happens without commitment. Once you've made a decision, put your whole heart into making the decision come true. Now, number 7, it grows in capability as it is used and believed in. The more trust you have in your superconscious mind, the faster it works for you. And the more calm and confident you absolutely believe that something will show up, something will be fine, the most amazing thing is that something happens. And the more you practice with it and the more confidence you have, the faster it works for you. Pretty soon it gets to the point where you can think a thing and realize it very, very quickly. And the more confidence you have that it will work, the more rapidly it works for you. It takes a lot of confidence at the beginning, but that's all it takes. It doesn't cost any money. It merely requires a step of faith, a mental step of faith. Number 8, it operates best with an attitude of confident expectancy. I told you this before, but this attitude of confidently expecting great things to happen is the catalyst. It's almost like the ether in the air that causes the superconscious mind to activate even faster. So when you confidently expect that your goals will be reached, your problem will be solved, that everything will be well, when you confidently expect it, it just seems to come into reality. And the more it happens, the more you believe it. The more you believe it, the better and faster it works. And there are many people who just get into tuning, almost like you get onto a beam when you're landing a plane. They get onto the beam of their superconscious mind, and they just stay on that beam, and they just do what feels right all the time. And they never make another mistake. And they make more progress in a few weeks or a few months than many people who are all over the place make in years if they make any progress at all. Number 9, it operates best under 2 conditions. The first condition is when you are concentrating 100% on the problem. 100%, you're just totally focused on the problem. And I'm going to give you a method to stimulate your superconscious a little bit later. But when you're totally focused on the problem, suddenly ideas pop out. And that's why the very first thing you do when you have a problem is to write down every detail of the problem. when you have a goal, you write down every single thing you could think of that would help you to achieve the goal. And the more you write, 10, 20, 30 things, the more likely it is that something will pop off the page. You hadn't even thought of it, or you may have thought about it years ago, and suddenly it's there again. You may have pulled it out from deep in your memory, and suddenly, and that's the key. That's what will make this work. So therefore, concentrate 100%. No television, no radio, no anything else. Best with classical music, always concentrating and writing out lists of everything you could do to solve the problem or achieve the goal. And the other time is when you are concentrating 0%, when your mind is busy elsewhere. So if you have not been able to solve the goal by focusing on it single-mindedly, then walk away. In scientific work, there are 4 stages. The first stage is, I think it's itemization. The second stage is concentration. The third stage is relaxation. And the fourth stage is realization. Is what happens is there's a stage in life where you walk away from it and don't think about it at all and let it brew. What is the word that I'm looking for? It's called, it's a word for it, where you just sort of let it stew in your mind while you're busy doing something else. And at a certain point, the idea pops into your mind. This is taught, by the way, in all scientific schools, is you focus on the subject single-mindedly and then walk away from it and just let it go. And at a certain point, pow, the idea comes in. Number 10, it brings you exactly the solution you require at exactly the right time. I remember I was flying back from Vancouver to Edmonton, and I was going into a very, very highly charged business meeting on a very, very difficult subject, and I was just in a state of complete agitation. And then what I did is I did the quick affirmation technique. I constantly, I relaxed completely, visualized that this meeting goes exactly well, exactly perfectly, and as I walked in the door of the meeting, they were both waiting for me like lions waiting for fresh meat. As I walked in the door, the answer came full-blown in my mind. And I just simply expressed the answer, and it solved the problem completely. I still remember, after that, I could not believe it. At exactly the moment that I needed the solution, it shot into my mind word for word. So therefore, when you're working for a solution too, very often the solution will come at exactly the right moment for you, but it is time dated. You must act immediately. When you get a solution, let us say that you think of a goal, and the first thing that pops into your mind is phone so-and-so and ask him or her about this. And so when you get that, do it immediately. Sometimes you'll pick up the phone and call immediately, and they say, I'm glad you called. I was just leaving for the airport. I'm going to be in Europe for a month, and out of contact. And if you had called them an hour later, they'd have already been gone, and you wouldn't have been able to get through to them. Today, of course, you can with cell phones. You can get through to anybody. But the point is, when you get the idea, move quickly, because it's time dated. And sometimes it's dated only for a few minutes. So how can you tell a superconscious solution? Number one, when the answer comes, it will be 100% complete, and it will be simple. It will be so simple that you think, why didn't I think of that before? That is so simple. It's so obvious. It's easy to implement. It will be within your resources. You won't have to get anybody else's permission or help. It's something that you can do, and you hit yourself like this. How could I not have thought of that? It will be a blinding flash of the obvious. It will be so obvious that you'll just be surprised you hadn't thought of it. And 3, it will be accompanied by a burst of energy and joy. You see, the energy that you need to implement the solution will come with the solution. It's almost like the charge that you need to get up. Sometimes you'll have a superconscious solution in the middle of the night, and you'll wake up with this incredible idea, and you'll be able to sit down and start writing it down, and all the energy you need to write it down. And people have done this and written it several pages, and at the end of it, they're exhausted.
Bye. you.